what are the effects and features that is supported on Lottie that After Effects has, so that you know that if you play by this rule, that you will get most of them to work as well. And a lot of LottieFiles is essentially used, like more than the animations that you see, it's being used by designers who actually test these animations before they actually pass it to their developers. So that is like, it's bigger of a testing ground than actual free resources that you see. And we've just made it so easy. After state, they can make it public if they want. So we've seen, and thank you to all the contributors that who've been making their assets, these animations public. But to answer that question straight, there are limitations, and there are like details on the websites that you can find on what are the effects that is supported by Lottie that After Effects has.
Perfect. I hope that answers your question. And we have another one for Sapta, which is how are Framer, ProtoPie, and Origami Studio for micro interactions?
I haven't personally tried ProtoPie and what is the other name that you said? I just missed it.
Framer and Origami Studio.
Origami, right? So Origami and ProtoPie is something that I personally haven't tried out yet, but I've heard they're quite good as well. Framer is something that I have tried, but I tried the older Framer, where you write code in CoffeeScript. You can do a lot of things. So Framer is extremely powerful, but what I have seen is it takes a lot of time. And especially if you're a designer, it's less likely that you would be comfortable with code. Like I come from a technical background, so maybe I can write code with a little more ease than somebody else, but in general, it's time taken. So if you're fine with spending that kind of time, yes, I think you can use Framer as well. But again, the problem of handoff remains, right? Unless Nattu builds it for Framer as well, or other tools. Yeah.
I think just to add to that, I think like you should try out the new Framer Web or Framer X. That is like less of the coding part, but more of the playful on the design side. And I think it's super powerful that a lot of these codes that like designs that you do exports to React as well, so that your developers can start using them. So that was one of the tools that compared to even ProtoPie, I've played around with it, but I haven't played with Origami Studio. But it's Framer X, like I knew a lot of designers started to code just so that they can do the interaction in Framer, old version, Framer X and Framer Web is smooth. Is as far as I've played around with. We might have a different experience, but that was a huge difference compared to the first version.
Yeah.
Got that. And okay, so Imran wants to ask Nattu that can we integrate dynamic data from the app into the animation?
Yes, you can. And like I mentioned, any text or any color, any properties that you have within the animation is changeable, and it is rendered real time. So, but in order to change a lot of these things, there are not publicly available libraries just to change this part of the animation. That's something that we are working on, even on the .Lottie side, where you can easily interact with these. It be as easy as you naming a layer in After Effects, so that your developer don't have to go and play and find out which layer that is, but they can just use the ID straight away and then change it as you play it. And right now it is supported there. There needs to have a little bit of a learning curve from a developer side in order to incorporate it. And we've seen a lot of apps that are actually using it, be it like a very simple cases, light mode and dark mode. It's using the same asset, but changes based on the settings of the operating system as well. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so this question is for both of you. Any one of you can decide to answer this. Any process to import illustration from Procreate to AE to Lottie?
Okay. Nattu, you want to go first? How do you want?
I haven't played around with Procreate much, but if anything exposed to a PDF format or like a web PDF, then you could import that into After Effects, Illustrator, and then from Illustrator you can move it. If there's anywhere that you can bring your design to Illustrator, Figma, or Sketch, or any of these tools, there's a way that you can bring it to After Effects.
Yeah, that's true. Just to add to what Nattu had said, After Effects can accept any image, be it your photo or your illustration or anything. So as long as your Procreate can export a JPEG, PNG, or any other image, you can always send it to to your Mac or system wherever you're using. Put it on After Effects, and once it's in After Effects, it can be done using Lottie. So it's JSON plus a folder full of images. That's how it usually works.
That's quite an interesting process that we have there. Okay, so Sapta, how would you decide which features to add to your product while designing? Also, how to add value to your design so that the user feels connected and hooked to it?
Okay, value to your design. So if you're talking about a product feature, this is again going beyond anything, and it's the overall product view that we are talking about. It can start with anything. It can start with an idea, something that we figure out is worth solvable or can be solved, and it can come from anyone, be it a designer, a product manager, a developer, or a business guy, a marketing person, right? So especially in a consumer product like Swiggy, because we all are users of our product as well, so we face a lot of problems on a day-to-day basis, right? Anything related to food or delivery is something which comes in our domain. So if one individual figures out, hey, it's tough to get this in our homes, how can we solve that? And if you are a staff of Swiggy, you can always think, can Swiggy get into it, right? And that's how all the ideas come up. Say if we figure out that okay, I'm a single user, every time I am ordering food, it's too much for me. Can we design something which is tailor-made for single people, single meals? So that's how ideas come. And when ideas come, these are just a spark, a thought. These are not validated. After that, after we get an idea and we figure out that, okay, the idea has got some strength to it or some depth into it, we do a little bit of more work. Maybe we do a bit of market research. We speak to some users or we talk to other people and understand the feasibility and possibilities of this. And if everything shows a direction towards a positive way, we go ahead and build it. Right? So that's usually the idea behind how any product features appear, right? It all starts with one spark, one idea, validate it, build it. Yeah.
Perfect. Arpit, I see a few hands being raised now. So
yeah,
if you can do the honors and get them on the stage.
Yeah, sure. So let's get Syed Noman, if I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Sapta and Nattu. I have a question. There is a design process, in a startup or whatever you say. So at which stage you implement micro interaction, like in the design process?
It's towards the later, I would say. That's the short answer, because you always start very broad. And broad, micro is definitely opposite of broad, right? So when you're thinking broad, you cannot think of micro, or you shouldn't rather, right? So that's the ideal way, when you're thinking broad and then you narrow down and go towards, achieving something. So that's where, you're achieving. So going by that logic, yes, micro interaction and all come towards the end, where you're finishing the final things. How can we make this step a little better? Because there you think very narrow. How about making this better? How about only just fixing this bit? So that's how micro interactions, the thoughts come up. But having said that, like when I said, when a designer like me or anybody else work, at times, even while thinking broad, when we are so clear of the process, we know that, okay, in this stage, this is going to happen. There I may apply this micro interaction. So that's like an exception. Once a while you do, but you always park that idea. It's not that you start working right there. You park that idea, and then when you reach that stage, that's when you work.
I relate to that, and to add a bit more, I think from at least my experience of working in product design side, it is understanding the user a lot. Like you could show a loading spinner that is default, and when we all look at that loading spinner, we get anxiety. Oh my God, this app is slow. That's the initial thought. But if you replace that with something that they can't predict and keeps going, in let's say in a food app where like Swiggy, if you show the map of the driver coming to your way, you will have an anxiety look. Oh, the driver is going on the wrong way. Just turn around. Just turn around. Like it's like unnecessary anxiety that I'm getting based on looking at a map that I have no control over. Instead, just like let's just show them a nice animation where they they can imagine that, hey, like it is like gonna be like how in reality, okay, people are actually cooking, people are actually delivering, and so forth. And one of the reasons why we've seen a lot of like animations or micro animations started with Uber food to Grab in Southeast Asia to Swiggy as well, where like understanding the user, their behaviors, and what is one way that your app or your product can calm them down, give them that comfort. I think that is somewhere that you could actually start. In digital apps, we have that luxury to do A/B testing, to test things out and replaces it doesn't work. There may be an animation on an area that might not work. And so that is the importance of like circling back with your design. The best design is when it keeps on improving and changing the way that people actually look at it. It grows with the app along with the people as well.
So I think, Syed, your question has been answered.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Syed, for that question. That is a very insightful question.
Yeah. So Keshav once again raised his hand. So let's see what he's up to. Yeah.
Hey, hi, basically, I have a question. What I wanted to ask was, like, while designing, Saptarshi like, said something about responsible design, right? So, what I want to ask is, what can we do in motion design so as to keep, keep accessibility in mind? How do we design for accessibility? Like, I know in static design, for a very basic example would be for an image, we give alt text, for example, right? So in motion design, what kind of things we can do for that audience with disabilities maybe, or things are not as accessible to them as they are with us. So
Okay.
you can take this question, and I also want to ask: is there a way for Lottie to do something like this? So Nattu can take that maybe.
Yeah, I think you put me on the spot right there. On the accessibility part, I think it's like a really, really important question and something that we haven't, like, to be honest, gone through in depth because animation within the product is very, very, very new again as well, especially in formats where vector-based ones are again new compared to GIF4, MP4. Let's say a basic website implements on accessibility side, like all text for images and videos out there. Same goes for Lottie, but it has to be something more. What if like this animation describes itself based on the layers that are in the animation? Because this is again, the file itself is a version of an animation, even if it's on a very technical front, but it should be able to describe it. What if you are able to name your layers in a way, this is a beach or this is a chair, or like even a description of saying that, hey, this is person sitting near the beach. That and relate to one cool part about Lottie is that it's not something that is natively bringing from the browser straight away, but it's something that we construct and bring it to the page so that we could bring, even you're able to like add these to the pages when you're implementing. It's just it doesn't come on the format straight away, but you could make the accessibility like as much as you go. Be it, let's say, for colorblind. Like how would you switch those colors so that it gets like there's the contrast ratios, there's like accessibility for colorblind as well, that is within the design as well. It's just open canvas, things that you can manipulate, move around. I'm pretty sure the accessibility and these standards will come in the future. For now, it's just up to you on how you actually implement them.
Keshav, to add to what Nattu had said, I think I agree with everything that you've said. I cannot speak from a Lottie point of view, but from a motion design, what I can tell you is it's already much better when it comes to accessibility. Of course, if you're talking about a blind person looking, I'm afraid I think there's no solution yet, right? Or maybe sound could be a solution. if there's a sound as well, which kind of communicates the same, but that is not always practical. But the way I see it is, accessibility, there could be at different levels. For example, my parents are 60 plus, right? So they have some problems with their eyes. They cannot read and see the fine text which is out there, right? So the text is static. That is difficult for them to read. But I'm sure if it is, a small, but if it moves, if it animates, it'll be easier for them to understand that something is happening versus a static. So that way, so speaking from that context, I feel animations are in general a little better when it comes to accessibility. But yeah, there is always a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Perfect. Thank you for asking this question, Keshav. I am sure it would have helped a lot of people. And I see there are 3 hands raised right now, but Arpit is not here. So you guys please hang on. We're going to get back to you. We'll get you on the stage. But till then, we're just going to move to the other question that we have in the question section. Yeah. Okay. If I were to start getting into micro interaction design, how would I become job ready? And this is for both of you. Like anyone can choose.
Job ready. Okay. Nattu, you want to go first or?
Please.
Okay, I'll do it. So, job ready. Okay, so let's see it this way. Like animation is a much bigger thing. I think I have been saying it. Like the scope is huge. Like animation can go all the way up to the stuff which happens in the sci-fi movies or in Disney animated series and all. Like what people like me are doing is barely 5% of it. Just to use the similar tools and achieve something which is much simpler, right? So depends on what kind of job readiness you're talking about. If you are talking about that's real kind of animation, I'm sure it needs a lot more effort. But if you're talking the kind of work that I do, it's good to be a motion designer, but I would say it's always better when you pair it up with your UX design skills as well, right? Do not try and be an only motion designer that, I'm going to only animate on UI. Then, you are taking that easy way out. You don't want to be an animator. You don't want to be a product designer. You want to take the easy way out where you're doing easy animations. So what would be more valuable is either you go full on, like, you go and create Disney movies or something, or you be a hardcore product designer and you use motion design as a tool to do your product designing better. And that's what I'm trying to do at least, right? So that would make your value a lot more as a product designer. So I think that would be my advice. Nattu.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. Become like being a product designer and then walk through that path of rather just going specific to, hey, like I want to be a motion design and then losing the entire context of it. The reason why like there's product design, or we call ourselves product design, is a mix of user experience design and user interaction, like user interface design as well, and combined together with the business goals and some sort of a tech know-how as well. I'm rather designing an interface, I'm designing a product. How can these essential elements like micro animations and even copywriting as well comes into place so that the end user, they don't really care about animation was done really well, but I was like, how does that experience like gave me that I want to come back to and use it, and having that context, even being a like motion designer, you could specialize in that, but having the knowledge of product design or user interface design or user experience design really helps. And on an earlier conversation, it's not about the tool, it's about the concepts and then how you bring to that. Because usually a lot of times a micro, let's say an animator is approached after the design is done. That means like closing that gap is almost closing from a developer to designer sort of a thing. Now you're like on the asset side. So it's always to like be that Swiss knife and know your tools, know your skills, know your craft, know where they get used, know how people perceive it or how they get consumed, so that you're more prepared to give a better solution to your future clients or your future team as well. Be more for value add, even to give feedback saying that, hey, the animation that you are asking for is not the right one, but here's a better way because this is how people think when they come to a loading screen, let's say.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so moving on now. Arpit, can we have Bharat on the stage, please?
Yeah.
Hello. Can you hear?
Hi, Bharat.
Hey, Bharat.
Hi, everyone. So my question is for Nattu, sir. Sir, as we know that LottieFiles is free right now and anyone can use it. So what are your plans to monetize the platform, and will this stay free forever, or this will take a course like Adobe subscription type?
Yeah, this is a really good question. Thank you for asking that, Bharat. I think LottieFiles is an open library that you see, you go consume and use, that will stay, that will grow, and we will put all of our efforts to make sure that it grows as well. Besides that, there's also a marketplace where people, like we empower designers to go and sell there and make revenue out of it. So there are a lot of avenues for a designer to come in and be a part of that journey. We have our tooling for After Effects and other tools in the future that will come, that will be completely free for you to export it. Like on the monetization is a really good question. Our main goal is to make this as like, we want everybody to use Lottie. And because it's an open source format on the implementation side, yes, there are segments within LottieFiles, suppose like you're testing or you're hiring someone, or suppose like you want to test a feature without even using your phone. That would cost a lot of engineering and a lot of resources from our side. If that is something that like a design team is able to like pay for, or we can solve that problem for them, we would go with that route rather than monetizing the entire route. We want to even like because our web players, our interactivity libraries, all of that, both from the implementation front and both on the creation front, like will stay as like plugins and so forth, will stay as like open source or even free for you to use it, because we want more people to create Lottie animations and start using them, and then see the magic or the beauty and the power of it, and keep pushing the limit. Because a lot of times we see from the community how they're using Lottie animations, and we get inspired by it. We just want to like build more libraries so that more people can use it. One will be in Webflow, adapting Lottie animations on the website of things, and how people are using interactions as well. So to answer your question, the free repository will stay as free, and free for anyone to use and modify as well. And then again, thanking the community who are contributing these animations. They're making like products look much better, and for the end users as well. That essentially is our goal, right?
Thank you, sir. That's a good news for everyone, I guess.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah. Thank you, Bharat. We'll hand over mic to Shashank now. So, yeah. Hey, Shashank.
So, hey guys. So, we just got a very good news from Saptarishi that he's launching a free course on YouTube on motion design. And Nattu, we got a very good feature of LottieFile integration with Figma. So my question is to Nattu, what next we can see in LottieFiles for the designers?
Wow, this is almost hard to answer because there's so many aspects of it. And as a designer, our biggest aim is how can any designer seamlessly export to a Lottie from any tooling that they have. From even this conversation, we had our pain points on how can you bring your designs, like vector designs, from either Procreate or even Figma, so that you can easily create a Lottie animation. I think like refining this workflow for designer, and at the same time we have to think about the developer as well, because they're the one at the end of the day who are implementing them. So we have to make it like seamlessly, at the same time make it easier. If you're gonna like not just create an animation to play and stop, but for people to interact with, the same thing needs to be like, I don't want to use this word translation, but the developer needs to understand this as well. So our main area would be that, but also like SVG to Lottie is something that like we are very excited about, and all the developers that we've talked to are really excited about. One of that being, now you have a SVG file, now you have to export to a PDF file for iOS. And even on SVG, sometimes you play on the Android, it's different and there are issues. But because you already have Lottie library as an animation library within your app, it's so easy for you to bring in these like Lottie icons, Lottie illustrations. And now imagine all the interactions that you are starting to do with your animation. You can reflect that back to your illustrations as well, dark mode, light mode, like accessibility side, blind, like color blinds, and all of that too. I think that hand to hand, bringing them as closer as we can, and making sure designer equips and prepares this animation straight away so that there's a better handoff. That is one part that we are really excited about. Like I mentioned, it's not just one feature there. We're thinking ecosystem, and it is championed by both designers and developers within these companies from bottom to top, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Shashank. You actually asked a very interesting question. And I think it's a good note to end our session today on this note. And before we end, I would want to thank you again, Nattu Saptarishi, the LottieFiles team, who's been there to support us. A big shout out to Meili as well, who's been with us, like helped us in organizing this event. And another big shout out to AirMeet for helping us have such a amazing event with ease. So yeah, so now we're gonna start with the social networking. Like the gates will be open. You can connect with Sapta and Nattu there, have a one-on-one session there. They'll be on the table for 20 to 30 minutes. So you can ask them questions, but also be respectful towards others. Like I know you would have a lot of questions and a lot of things to talk about, but then there are a lot of other people as well who would want to talk to them. So be a little respectful towards them as well. And I hope you really enjoyed this. And we really look forward to collaborating with both of them again for our other online events.
Yeah. So I would also like to thank our not sponsors, I would say, but Startup Grind and Webflow specifically for coming up together and giving us support in this e-meetup. And definitely AirMeet, we are working in AirMeet, but other than that part, AirMeet has supported us for this seamless experience. So any word from Nattu and Sapta would help us on the AirMeet part. Yeah.
And just on a note that thank you for thanking the entire community, and also our amazing team at LottieFiles that they're doing an incredible job. Like Saptarshi said, it's they just kick ass to bring in Lottie to the world and exposing the power of Lottie and try to explain to them, both the designers and developers as well. And it's just super exciting to see that today, all of these apps are being powered by Lottie, and a lot of our tools play a huge part in that. And then there's a huge growing community coming out of it, thanking everyone for their contributions and their support.
Yeah, guys, I think all of you are doing a great job at People Who Design or People Who Make, right? What is the name of the other one?
People who build.
People who build, right? Right. And that is great. And AirMeet as a platform, I think even when we were at backstage, I was talking about it, right? That the concept of virtual tables is very novel. I think no one has ever thought about it. I don't know if you guys have even any competition there. I have used AirMeet a couple of times before, right? So yes, Arpit, so I'll maybe catch up with you offline sometime so we can discuss some UX about AirMeet. But in general, it's great to see that even when the world is locked down, we can have a meetup where there are hundreds of people attending, learning, and also asking questions. I think, like I said, it's a wonderful time to be here in 2020, even though 2020 isn't a very great year, right? So, yeah, really grateful.
Yeah, and just to add one thing to that, I was checking out it the other day, and I was like, wow. Because usually you get like you're looking at Zooms and other calls all the time, and now you come to a place you feel like this is live. This is something that makes me feel like I want to be on an event every day, so that like I have UX and I have areas and features that I'm excited about that I want to try. And so far, like no product has given me that in terms of a video conferencing or even virtual events as well. Amazing job. Really love the interface. There's no such thing as like I'm missing something in here, but I'm seeing everything at the same time with so many features as well. Amazing job to the entire team as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the kind words, Nattu and Sapta. So we'll end this session for Q&A, and let's meet at Social Lounge, which is our virtual table area. And Sapta and Nattu will be on the table number 2 and 3, and you can ask questions about LottieFiles at table number 1. If you have any questions regarding HereMeet or PeopleWho.Design, we'll be on table number 4 and 5. See you over there. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience and attending this event. So, thank you.
Yeah.